The night of December 29, 1935, was not just any ordinary evening. The sky above the rugged landscape of Newfoundland was unusually clear, a rare spectacle in these northern reaches where weather could be as unpredictable as its inhabitants' moods. Among those who marveled at this celestial show were two men, one an intrepid pilot and the other, a renowned scientist. The pilot's name was Amelia Earhart, known for her daring flights across continents and oceans. She had embarked on yet another adventure with three companions, Harry Manning, Fred Noonan, and Paul Mance, who served as cameraman to capture their journey. But little did they know that this flight would not only be a milestone in aviation but also the beginning of an enigmatic mystery. Their destination was Trepassey Harbor, Newfoundland, where Earhart hoped to break records by crossing the Atlantic Ocean from west to east. The plan seemed foolhardy even then, with storms and uncharted waters lying between them and their goal. However, it was not just the journey that captured the world's imagination, it was the promise of new knowledge. Trailing behind Amelia Earhart on this fateful night was a team led by renowned meteorologist Louis Prieres Frere. With cutting-edge instruments and an unwavering dedication to understanding weather patterns, Frere aimed to forecast conditions accurately for Earhart's flight path. His work was crucial, any misstep in the forecast could mean disaster. As dawn approached on December 30th, the plane should have been safely over Newfoundland. But by mid-morning, there were no signs of it or its crew. The radio remained silent, and a tense search began across the rugged coastline. As days turned into weeks with no trace found, whispers spread like wildfire through aviation circles. Theories abounded. Perhaps Earhart had crashed into the vast expanse of the Atlantic, or maybe she had been forced to land somewhere else entirely. The night of February 5, 1936, was a typical winter evening in Newfoundland. The air was crisp, and the dark sky was dotted with stars. A small aircraft, the Southern Air Transport's NC-20 plane, left Botwood Airport on its regular route to Trepassey Bay, where it would pick up mail and passengers for St. John's. On board that night were 7 people: Captain Charles Egan, First Officer Thomas Kavanagh, Flight Engineer Frank McKenna, Radio Operator Fred P. Taylor, and 3 men working at a nearby fish plant, Thomas Walsh, Joseph Burke, and James Dwyer. The plane was simple but sturdy, a Douglas DC-2, with its familiar shape reminiscent of an eagle in flight. The journey began smoothly enough, as the crew checked their instruments and prepared for the short trip to Trepassey Bay. As they approached the foggy coastal town, thick clouds obscured much of the visibility. Captain Egan decided that continuing was too risky, so he radioed for permission to land at a nearby military airfield. But fate had other plans in store. At p.m., as the plane prepared to descend towards the airport's runway, disaster struck. The NC-20 hit an unexpected and massive piece of ice, causing it to lose control and crash into the fog-shrouded ground just off the runway. The impact was so violent that it sent the aircraft spinning in a deadly spiral. Survivors reported seeing flashes of light from inside the plane as it disintegrated on impact. Witnesses described hearing screams and shouting before everything went quiet. In the aftermath, only one body could be found, Thomas Walsh's, partially buried under snow and ice near where the plane had crashed. The rest were never discovered, lost in the depths of a frozen Newfoundland landscape. The mystery surrounding this crash soon captured the public's imagination, fueling conspiracy theories and sparking investigations that in the heart of a stormy night on March 10, 1956, not far from Long Island Sound, a Lockheed L-749 Constellation named Constellation X vanished without a trace. The plane was en route to Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, carrying 8 passengers and 4 crew members. For decades, the mystery of what befell this aircraft has haunted aviation history. The initial reports were sparse, just vague mentions of radar contact lost before dawn, followed by a total silence that echoed through the night. The search was extensive but yielded no physical evidence or human remains. It seemed as if Constellation X had simply disappeared into thin air. Yet, despite its apparent disappearance and subsequent lack of tangible clues, this enigmatic crash left an indelible mark on aviation. The story begins in a quiet town near Teterboro Airport, where the families of the passengers waited anxiously for news that never came. The atmosphere was thick with tension as each passing hour felt like eternity. Neighbors huddled together, exchanging whispers and glances filled with concern and fear. The skies above remained blank, casting an eerie silence over the community. As days turned into weeks, the search efforts intensified, but they only served to deepen the mystery. Military aircraft patrolled the area day and night, conducting extensive searches using sonar and radar equipment. Local fishermen recounted tales of unusual lights seen in the sky that fateful night, fueling speculation and theories about what could have happened. The official investigation was swift yet inconclusive. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, initially ruled it as a probable case of controlled flight into terrain, meaning the plane might have been flying too low or at an incorrect angle upon impact. However, many investigators remained skeptical. They pointed to inconsistencies in radar data and suggested that there could be more to this story than meets the eye. One of the most intriguing aspects is the nature of Constellation X itself. This luxury L in the heart of a dense forest in eastern Pennsylvania, nestled among towering pines and whispering winds, lies the site where an event occurred that would forever change aviation. The story begins on March 10, 2009, when a small plane vanished without a trace into the clouds. The pilot, Captain Kenneth Williams, was known for his meticulous nature and deep passion for flying. He had logged thousands of hours in various aircraft but held this particular craft dear to him, the Cessna 406 Skymaster, with its sleek white fuselage and distinctive red trim. The day before the disappearance, he had spoken on a radio broadcast about his plans that evening. "I'll be flying over the mountains," he said, his voice steady but tinged with excitement. As night fell, Kenneth's plane took off from an airfield near Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Radar picked up its path northward until it vanished just after p.m. The search that followed was intense and extensive, involving over 15 aircraft and 8 helicopters. Despite their efforts, no trace of the Skymaster or its pilot could be found. The mystery deepened when, weeks later, a hiker stumbled upon what appeared to be debris from an airplane in a remote section of the forest. A team was quickly dispatched to investigate. What they discovered was shocking: part of the plane's wing and several pieces of metal that had clearly been exposed to fire. The search intensified as investigators combed through every piece of evidence, trying to uncover what had happened. One theory emerged: Kenneth might have encountered a dangerous storm system. Weather reports from the night in question showed an unusual convergence of cold and warm air masses, creating powerful thunderstorms with lightning strikes. A plane flying into such conditions could easily be struck by lightning, leading to catastrophic structural damage or even complete disintegration. However, no direct evidence was found at the crash site that would support this scenario. The night of the crash was like any other in the small town where it occurred. The sky was dark except for a few stars peeking through the clouds. Little did anyone know that this seemingly ordinary evening would be etched into history as one of the most mysterious and transformative events in aviation. As dawn broke, the first responders arrived at the crash site to find not just debris but also something far more alarming: mysterious symbols carved into trees nearby. These enigmatic signs hinted at a deeper mystery, one that had eluded investigators for decades. The aircraft, an Douglas DC-3, was found completely shattered, its pieces scattered across a wide area of forest. Amidst the wreckage lay the bodies of 21 passengers and crew, all victims of a sudden and inexplicable accident. The investigation began in earnest, with local authorities working alongside federal agencies to piece together what had happened that night. Forensic teams meticulously examined every fragment, searching for any clue that might shed light on why this plane crashed so suddenly. Theories abounded: mechanical failure, pilot error, sabotage, even alien intervention. Each theory was explored and then discarded as the evidence failed to confirm any of them. One aspect of the crash that particularly troubled investigators was a small black box found near the cockpit. This device contained flight data but also held something else: a series of encrypted messages that seemed to point towards an unknown entity or organization. The content of these transmissions remained mysterious and untranslatable, leaving many scratching their heads in confusion. The incident quickly gained media attention as reports poured out about the DC-3's last known communication with air traffic control. According to those recordings, the pilot had sounded increasingly agitated before vanishing from the radar screens. His final words were cryptic, "It's coming for us." The statement sent shockwaves through the aviation community and beyond. As the investigation continued, a small group of researchers began studying the patterns in the flight data recorded by the black box. They noticed anomalies as the sun sets over the desolate landscape of Groom Lake. The air grows thick with the silence that hangs heavy between us. The crash site is a haunting tableau, where the remnants of metal speak volumes to those who dare listen closely. It was here, on this remote stretch of desert, that a plane went down in mysterious circumstances, shrouded in secrecy and conspiracy theories. The wreckage lies scattered across the barren ground like pieces of a shattered dream. The cockpit is twisted into an unrecognizable form, its once shiny surfaces now dulled by time and exposure to the harsh elements. Nearby, jagged shards of debris pierce the earth, each fragment telling stories only it can tell. These are not just physical remnants, they are silent witnesses to a tragic event that changed aviation forever. The day began like any other at Area 51, but what transpired next remains etched in memory with an eerie clarity. The pilot was known for his discretion and quiet demeanor, respected by those who worked alongside him yet keeping secrets even from colleagues. His final communication before the crash was cryptic, hinting at a mission that went beyond the usual boundaries of classified operations. As investigators combed through the wreckage, they uncovered clues pointing to an untested experimental aircraft. Theories began to swirl, perhaps it malfunctioned due to design flaws? Or maybe sabotage played a role in its sudden descent. Speculation ran rampant, fueled by whispers and rumors that danced at the edges of public consciousness, but remained just out of reach. The crash site quickly became a focal point for both official inquiries and unauthorized searches. Government officials were quick to close off access, citing national security concerns. Yet, despite these efforts, Area 51 continued to attract visitors who believed they held secrets beyond their grasp. The very ground seemed to pulse with an energy that whispered of hidden truths. Over the years, documentaries and books have offered various interpretations, but none have fully unraveled the mystery surrounding this plane. Some truths hide in shadows. Subscribe to uncover them.